It's a little loud, but go ahead.
Hey, Dan, I have, just as soon as you call on me, I've got a couple of candidates that are here that need to go. So hopefully the announcements won't take too long.
Okay, I'm trying to adjust my volume to. How does that sound now?
It's
Good. We're good.
It's good or a little loud, but
A
it's
little loud.
fine. That's fine.
Come down a little. Okay, how's that?
That's good.
That's good.
All
Let's
right.
go.
So, David, do you want us to skip our normal reports?
Well, how long do you think it'll take?
It shouldn't take long because most of the people that need to report aren't here. I would like, let's get right into the reports then. Let's go to the Conservation Committee. And Victoria?
Yes. So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being at the program tonight to hear David talk. And also for all of the continued interest in the new Conservation Eco Action Committee, which I am newly the chair of. Dan wanted me to remind everyone that I filmed on behalf of the Dallas Sierra Club a small advertisement that will appear on EarthX TV, hopefully within the next couple weeks. So keep your eyes out for that. Also, stay tuned to Facebook for some updates about conservation and eco action. Also, make sure you're here next month for our fabulous program. And David, I know you're in a time crunch, so I hand it over to you. Whenever Dan says we're good, I'm great with you starting.
Dan, we cannot hear you.
David, why don't you go ahead and start?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Why don't I do this, guys? We have a couple of our candidates who have given us some time to say hello. And rather than me wait to the right place in the program to pull them in, I know that they might like to share a few words. Obviously, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, and we're going to be working at all different levels, federal, state, and local, with our endorsements and what we are hoping to do. But we have two state House of Representative candidates who are with us, two of the candidates who are running in districts where we hope to pick up a seat, which will help us win a majority in the Texas House. Brandy Chambers has asked to go first, and I see Joanna Kadanek is right behind her. So why don't I call on Brandy first to say a few words. We'll loop you back into the situation when we get to House districts, but I appreciate so much your being willing to be on. So Brandy, thank you and welcome to the Sierra Club.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Brandy Chambers. I am the Democratic nominee for Texas House District 112, which is the northeast borders of Dallas County. So it's North Garland, East Richardson, Saxe, and the north part of Rowlett. In 2018, I was the first-time candidate running against a 5-term Republican incumbent who has an F by the Sierra Club, by the way, and earned 49% of the vote. Out of 53,000 votes cast, I narrowly lost by 1,100 votes. So now this race is number 3 for the 9 that we need to flip the House from red to blue in 22 days? 21 days. Sorry, 21 days. Oh my God, they're all blurring in together. So I am very excited. I'm thankful for everyone, Sierra Club, for all of your help, for all of your support, and hopefully everyone will get out and vote and we'll be able to actually make some change for the positive to save our environment in Texas in this next legislative session. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And Brandy, you're running against Angie Chin Button in House District 112.
Yes.
Right. And that's basically parts of Garland, Richardson, Saxe, right? That end of the county?
Yes. So it's the northeast puzzle piece to the Dallas County. So I don't have anything that crosses over county lines.
Okay. Well, as you'll hear from Matt Johnson, our state political director, shortly, we've already been doing some heavy lifting work for Brandy in that district, and so we were look forward to cheering you on to victory on election night. So thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Likewise, we have another rock star candidate running in this district, and that's Joanna Katanek. She's in District 108, which is basically the Park Cities and kind of near North Dallas. I'll let her describe her district a little better, but Joanna is also a candidate who's run before. And just like Brandy, she has some name recognition. We've been working really hard in Joanna's campaign as well. Probably one of the two most important pickups in the state. So you just heard from Brandy. Joanna, would you like to share with us also?
Yes, I hope that you all can hear me well. I know we're all having sound issues tonight, and I am no different. Yes, I am running in House District 108, which is Dallas Central, East Dallas, and the Park Cities. I just left the polls about 10 minutes ago. We are seeing unprecedented turnout, and I think we're waiting on the final numbers, but we are hoping to beat turnout for record setting in Dallas County today. There were lines at the polls everywhere that we went. There's momentum on our side. And frankly, I will tell you, there is a little bit of joy seeing your opponent nervous at the polls and standing there beside you. So I will take a little pleasure in that, if you all wouldn't mind me taking pleasure in that. Because we know history is on our side. This week, if you were reading the morning news, they did profile our race, and my opponent very blatantly said that he supports the oil and gas industry, no holds barred. I mean, flatly said it. So we know exactly where he is on environmental issues in this race. We know exactly where his funding is coming as well. So we know we have a tight race on our hands, and like Brandy is experiencing, and like a lot of us are experiencing across the county, we are in some nasty personal stuff happening. Lots of negative ads that are coming our way, but make no mistake, we are right on these issues, and we are keeping to political records and values that matter to voters, and trying not to get down into the mud with them, because there's no point in that. The people who stood in line today, and I will tell you, they lined up before 7 a.m. For those of you familiar with Dallas and the church, Our Redeemer Lutheran Church by North Park, they stood in the field. It was so long today. There was an hour-and-a-half line at the last place I just left, and that was at 6 o'clock. That's how much momentum, that's how much enthusiasm is here for an absolute change. So thank you all so much for the mailer that you all did. I saw something that came out. I appreciate that. Voters appreciate that. They do express to us they are a little overwhelmed with all of this information. And when they have something that's informative from a group as trusted as the Sierra Club, it helps them make a decision and make sure that they're making the right decision. So we are excited about that. If you're in the Dallas area as well, our television ads have started running today. So we are going to compete as best that we can against the most well-funded television opponent right now. He is definitely using that Park Cities money to his advantage, but we are being competitive in that way too. And so excited to be with you all. Definitely excited to take my shoes off after 12 hours standing at the polls and relaxing a little bit. But I promise you, I wish you all could have been there with me at places in 2018 where it was difficult to stand as a Democrat. I mean, you were verbally accosted sometimes, but today, standing as a Democrat, endorsed by Joe Biden, endorsed by President Obama, endorsed by the Sierra Club, and multiple other national and local and state organizations, I was so proud to be a Democrat today and stand out there for change in this bright orange getup of mine, so that people could see a name and a face and put both together and feel proud to be on this side of history right now. I want you all to just know that this is historical. And when you're in the moment, sometimes you forget that, but we should all be so proud of what we're doing right now and how we're about to change the state of Texas, because Jill Biden was here also today, about a mile from where we were doing these poll greetings. So thank you all so much. We're fighting the fight. Keep sending the good energy because we can feel it and the voters can feel it. And it's worth all the work that Brandy and I and so many have done to see what we are about to do in Texas. We are so close, and I am so excited to be in this journey with you all, and so excited for all of you who stuck with me and with Brandy through another cycle of this, because it was worth it. It's worth it to get that experience. So thank you all so much for all that you do.
Well, thank you, Joanna. Really appreciate that. We wish you the very best. We're looking forward to your victory on election night as well. Victoria, I do have another speaker, and that's Matthew Johnson, who is going to need to go in the next few minutes. I mean, we can break after that and have a few announcements if you like, but if it's all right, I'd like to call on Matt to talk for a moment, if that's all right.
That is completely fine. The floor is yours, and you run the program however works best.
All right. Well, since I know Matt has a hard deadline to give you the floor, Matt Johnson is the Political and Communications Director for the Lone Star Chapter. And he's been a great asset. I have worked with him very closely. In fact, we speak almost every other day, and we text and email every day. It's been a long haul. We've gotten some support from our National Sierra Club, which is the first time ever that they have seen that Texas is a battleground state. Matt can tell you a little more about that and what they are providing and what he has been able to do from a staff perspective for all these candidates. And two of them you've already heard from. But Matt, if you would like, just to kind of give us an overview of the state political program, and might key in a couple of things that are coming up in North Texas for various candidates in the near future that you're planning.
Yeah, thanks, David. And hello to everyone. I think I've met a handful of you, but for those of you I haven't met, I'm glad to be here. I wish I could be up in Dallas in person, but maybe one day I will. To pick up where David left off about how National Sierra Club recognizes the opportunities in Texas, that basically is the jumping off point to an unprecedented level of investment that the Sierra Club is making to try to win the Texas House by electing pro-environment and pro-justice candidates. And because of that investment, the chapter has set a goal of winning at least 9 seats in the state house, if not more. We are active this campaign cycle in upwards of 20 to 30 house races with varying levels of capacity in varying activities, and I can list them. I can list them briefly. We have been active, I would say, since early September, doing a variety of things. The first and foremost is writing handwritten letters to voters. And we have an active letter writing team of, I would say, about 40 or 50 volunteers spread out throughout the state, writing letters to voters in these key districts who profile as people who are less likely to fill out their entire ballot. So folks who might show up to vote against Trump might know who they're going to vote for Congress, but might not be aware of their state house candidate. These voters also profile as voters who are likely to care about the environment as an election issue. So the exact voter profile of someone from the Sierra Club reaching them. So that's why I've been busy for the last 6 to 8 weeks trying to recruit as many people as I can to help write letters to these voters. And we've written, I would say, over 2,300 letters so far, being specific about which state house candidates we support and why. In addition to letter writing, we're also active phone banking. And I could talk a little bit about phone banking in a minute, about opportunities coming up. But I also wanted to say that we've had about 4, I would say, volunteer phone banks so far. We probably will have around 4 more before the end of the month. We are also active in, we're soon to get active in texting. We have texted every Sierra Club member we can in Texas about our endorsements. Sounds like a young Sierran there. And we're soon to text our supporters as well, not non-members who we have a phone number we can text to make sure that they know in these key districts who the environmental candidate is in the Texas legislative race. In addition to that, we've also put a heavy investment in mailers. I know that David and others in the DFW area have committed to sending a mailer to our Sierra Club membership with noting our endorsement slate. But we're also sending mailers to the same sort of voter who I profiled a minute ago in several, I think 5 state house races across the state. One of whom is in Dallas County. So we're also, lastly, our last leg of our political program is a paid phone bank. And this is to help identify voters that we need to reach as Sierra Club. So it's basically asking people, letting them know who the environmental candidate is in the state house race, asking them if they support them. And if they're unsure, then the idea is that we'll follow up with them with a volunteer from the Texas Sierra Club to try and persuade them to turn out. So immediately, we have a phone bank on Saturday afternoon. And this is for a great candidate up in Collin County, Lorenzo Sanchez in House District 67. And we can use more people to get on the phones and help talk to voters to make sure they know that he is the environmental candidate in this race. We're also, I forgot to mention, we also letter writing for Joanna Kadanak still. So if you are open and able to write some letters in support of Joanna, let me know. And I can get you set up with a batch of 10 voters or however many you think you can write to. And this is the peak window to write letters and get them out, since, as we all know, early voting has started. One other thing is that if you're like me, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like cold calling. I don't. But I know it's something that campaigns need to do and organizations like ours need to do to reach voters, because every vote counts. And if you have a voter on the line and you mention our endorsed candidate, they're much more likely to vote for them. So even though I don't like doing it, I've done it so many times, I'm comfortable with it. So I wanted to let you all know that if you do have some hesitancy about calling voters cold, it takes, I would say, about 5 calls to get used to. And then you really warm up to it and become familiar with the script. And before you know it, you've reached a handful of voters who wouldn't otherwise normally have voted for Brandy Chambers or Joanna Kadanak. And with these tight races, that really counts. We're also using what's called a predictive dialer. And if you've never heard of that before, and if you've ever phone banked before, you know the difference between the predictive dialer and a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet, you are calling every number, and maybe 9 out of 10 are bad numbers, or you go straight to voicemail. A predictive dialer weeds out the majority of bad numbers and straight to voicemails, so that you as a volunteer phone banker can talk to more live people. It only works, though, it works best if there's at least 5 volunteers on the call. That really makes the wait time to find people to talk to much shorter. So our goal is to at least get 5 volunteers to RSVP for our phone bank on Saturday for Lorenzo Sanchez. And I will drop in the chat the Zoom registration link if you can make it. We start at 1 p.m. and we'll go for at least, I want to shoot for 2 hours, but as long as people are there to make calls, I'll keep the Zoom open. No experience is necessary. You'll get all the training you need. All you need is, technologically speaking, is a cell phone and a computer. So we'll all hang out on a Zoom, get trained, and then hop on the dialer together. The script is preloaded. No one will know your phone number. So the phone number that shows up to people who receive the calls will be our Austin chapter office number. And I think I'm probably at about time. I think I covered most of the stuff I wanted to. So David, let me know if I missed anything, if you think I should cover more.
No, thank you for sharing all that. I think the one thing that I'd like you to repeat is maybe a general website or something where if people want to just volunteer in general, there you go, sc.org/Texas 2020. Everybody see that? Maybe you write that down somewhere, sc.org/Texas written out 2020. And what do you do with people who sign up at sc.org/Texas 2020, Matt?
Right, and that's a capital T, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, that link is case sensitive, so make sure Texas is capitalized. So if you sign up there, you get an email and/or phone call from me probably the next day. That's where we are in the cycle. Thanking you for signing up. You'll have a choice. I'll ask you if you're interested in signing up to write letters, to make phone calls, or to text. And then I'll follow up with you and plug you right into the work. We have active letter writing campaigns, and I want to say 5 districts right now. And we have 2 phone banks scheduled and more on the way. And texting will open up later this week. So I'll plug you right into the work, answer any questions you have if you're a little nervous about talking to voters, writing voters, texting voters.
We just had a question, Matt, from someone asking about, again, the Saturday program for Lorenzo Sanchez, who's running in Collin County. What is the time frame?
Yep.
Or you've just put it up, 1 to 3?
1 to 3.
And again, if they want to sign up to help on Saturday for Lorenzo, how do they do that?
The Zoom link that I pasted a minute ago is the registration. It's registration required, so you'll have to fill out your name and you'll get a link to join the Zoom on Saturday. The reason why we do that is partially protective because we also post this link on Facebook, so it's open to the public. Sierra Club has had instances in the past where we've had attempted infiltrations, so this is just an added level of security.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. We appreciate your sharing with us, and I know you're working hard down in Austin, but we're operating all across the state for the first time ever to really make a huge difference. So anyway, I know you have to go at this point, but thank you again for joining in with us.
My pleasure, and thank you for taking the time to listen. And I posted my email address. Hit me up if you have any questions at all.
Okay, Matt. Thanks so much.
Night.
All right. Well, I have at least one more candidate who may be joining, and I'll want to make sure we let them in fairly soon too. And in fact, it is Lorenzo Sanchez from Collin County, for whom we're going to be doing this phone bank effort on Saturday. So, Victoria, shall I continue, or do you want to take a quick break for some more announcements?
No, please go ahead. This is lovely.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to try to share my screen now for this program, and we'll see if it works. Tell me if you see it.
We see it.
Okay. Well, this is the perhaps the most important election of our lifetime. And so let me see here. Is it advancing for you? Okay, let's talk about the purpose of our political committee. Just so that you know, we have different entities in the Sierra Club. We have the National Club, the state chapter, and then local groups. The regular part of the club in those 3 areas have a C3 organization, which is the foundation, and they basically do educational work. You can give a donation to the C3 Sierra Club Foundation and get a tax write-off. The majority of the work that our club does, both on the local, state, and national level, is at the C4, which is advocacy, advocating for environmental policies. Our lobbying work, our legislative work, that's C4. The great majority of our work is C4. And then the third area is our political action committee. At the national level, there's the Sierra Club PAC, or Sierra Club Political Action Committee. They deal with federal elections, President, U.S. Senate, U.S. House. And then at the state level, we have our own PAC, and it's called the Sierra Club Political Committee of Texas. It's a general purpose PAC filed with the Texas Ethics Commission. And we basically run our PAC efforts from the Sierra Club Political Committee of Texas. We have a short name for that, and it's called turntexasgreen.org. That's our website, our brand. And that's where you can go to make donations to the PAC, which we desperately need right now. We are about, $1,500 or $2,000 short of our goal. We have a few more days to raise that money. But if we could raise just tonight $500 or $1,000 just from those of you who are on this call, it would go a long way to making sure that the 20 or so candidates that we want to give donations to will receive those donations. So please consider going to turntexasgreen.org and giving whatever you can, $5 or $5,000 or anything in between. We'd love to have you do that. If you go to turntexasgreen.org, you can also see our various endorsements and then find the little donate tab, and it takes you straight to PayPal. You can use your credit card. All right, let me admit Lorenzo. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and finish the this next 2 or 3 slides, and then our candidate is waiting in the wings to speak with us from Collin County. Hello, Lorenzo. I'll get to you in just a moment. Thank you for being with us tonight. We've already heard from Brandy and from Joanna, and we'll look forward to hearing from you shortly. Okay, I just want to give you a little overview of what's at stake. We obviously have the presidency, control of the United States Senate, control of the U.S. House, control of the Texas Senate, control of the Texas House, which is the big potential get this year. The Texas Railroad Commission, we have a great commissioner candidate. We'll talk about Krista in just a moment. And then finally, and what's most important, is the ability to set environmental policy in the state and in the country. That's a huge amount that's at stake in what many people are considering the most important election of our lifetime. Okay, the federal offices that we have at stake, I'll just give you a few of them. Well, this is how we determine this. We have a candidate questionnaire for federal office, except for incumbents. We interview or have interaction with our congressional candidates. The XCOM local or chapter makes a recommendation for approval. And then the application process. The forms go to the Sierra Club National Political Committee in Washington, and then they make the final determination of approval. And we'll talk about some of those federal endorsements that we've made here in just a moment. For Texas, we have a little different process. We look at the voting records for incumbents. We have candidate questionnaires for challengers, and we'll hear from Lorenzo in just a minute. He filled out one of those questionnaires, sent it in, and we made a determination to endorse him based upon the questionnaire, because he doesn't have a record. He hasn't been in the House yet for us to look at that. The voting record, as we compile by our legislative scorecard, you heard from Matt earlier. One of the things that he and Cyrus Reed, who's our legislative conservation director and current acting director of the chapter, they put together the legislative scorecard by sort of measuring the votes for their environmental impact. And that helps us determine, so to speak, the grade for the incumbents. Then the Lone Star Political Committee or the Sierra Club Political Committee of Texas will look at all that information and make a recommendation to our chapter XCOM, which in turn approves the final endorsements. Okay, for president, obviously most of you are aware of the fact that Joe Biden is running for president. We have endorsed former Vice President Joe Biden for the presidency. That is his website there, joebiden.com. I don't have to tell you that President Trump has been probably one of the worst presidents for environmental issues in our lifetime. Think about how we thought George W. Bush was bad. This has been a cataclysmic disaster over the last 4 years. So we are looking forward to a Biden administration to help correct some of these issues, particularly with regard to the EPA, which has been decimated over the last 4 years. For the United States Senate, we have our own Senator Cornyn, who is up for re-election. He has something like a 7% voting record. The League of Conservation Voters measures the voting records of our members of Congress. He is being challenged on the Democratic side by MJ Hegar. MJ is a military person who's run before. She did very well when she ran for Congress 2 years ago. We endorsed her then, and we have endorsed her again. And she filled out the federal questionnaire, and we ran that through our local endorsement process, and then we sent it to the National Club, and they chose MJ for one of the major endorsements that they made. Okay, let me see here. I can't see it because it's covered up. Okay, this is the Sierra Club political program for this year. Let's quickly look at this. The candidates for federal office are Joe Biden, MJ Hegar for U.S. Senate. For Congress, Lulu Sekali, whose district actually is over some of the same territory, I believe, as Lorenzo's district in Collin County. Lulu has been put on the list lately for a possible flip seat. And so she's running in central Collin County. By the way, our very own John Lingenfelder was the candidate, I believe, in that district a few years ago. So we have some local history. Stephen Daniel, who's running in the 6th Congressional District against a guy named Ron Wright. Steve, this is Joe Barton's old district. It's parts of Arlington and points south in rural areas, but it does get part of Tarrant County, I believe. Candace Valenzuela is running in the 24th Congressional District. This gets many of us in northwestern Dallas County and in northeastern Tarrant County. Candace is being challenged by Beth Van Dyne, former mayor of Irving, who's very conservative. This is to fill the seat of Kenny Marchant, who is retiring from the 24th seat. Of course, Eddie Bernice Johnson is running for re-election in District 30, and so is Colin Allred. We were played heavily in Colin Allred's victory 2 years ago, and we'll continue to work with him in Congressional District 32. And then finally, Congressman Mark Vesey, parts of Oak Cliff and further west into Tarrant County. Those are our federal offices that we're going to be involved in. Okay, here's where I'm going to stop and refer you to the turntexasgreen.org website while Lorenzo is speaking. This is the site that you can go to on your phone or your computer and with your credit card, make a donation to turntexasgreen.org. And then maybe we'll be able to give Lorenzo some money. But Lorenzo Sanchez is running in House District 67, which I believe is parts of Plano and Allen. Lorenzo, you can give us a little bit better geographical boundaries of your district, but it's mostly in Collin County, I believe. if you want to unmute your mic, I'd like for you to speak to us for a little bit and tell us about your campaign and maybe what we can do for you.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Lorenzo Sanchez, running for Texas Representative of House District 67. It is all within Collin County and all within Congressional District 3, where Lulu Cycli is running. It's areas of Richardson in Collin County, Plano, Allen, and then one precinct of Dallas and a neighborhood of Garland. I'm just thrilled to be able to speak with your organization this evening, and for all the groups that are putting on these kind of events and really bringing their issues to the forefront to make sure that they stay part of the conversation. When I started running in this race, it seems like people have a different understanding of the kind of ways that we should be advocating for any sort of climate change proposals or how we're going to move Texas forward. I know that a lot, even within my own party, we're nervous about saying certain things. They were like, Lorenzo, but this is Texas. Lorenzo, this is Texas. And I would let them know that I was well aware of the state that I was raised in and where I was speaking to them from. But these are the kind of things that we need to continue talking about. We see the energy with our youth. They want us to take action. So this is going to be something that I continue to speak about. I know that North Texas in particular has, a record of being a leader in this conversation. Maybe not in recent decades, but in the past with LBJ and Sam Rayburn and Wright Patman. These are people who cared about the environment and they had the wherewithal to also be worried about businesses and providing jobs for people, but knew the importance of taking care of our environment. So Texas will be around for generations to come and to enjoy after us. So we're running a really strong campaign here. It's one of the top 5 most competitive seats here in Texas for Democrats to try to win back the Texas House. And hopefully once that happens, we can make sure we keep the pressure on these politicians who are being sworn to represent us to make sure that they continue to take bold action at preventing any sort of catastrophes that we're going to see because of climate change, and really starting to invest in our communities to make sure that we are the recipients of those future jobs within a green industry that are really going to be moving our country forward. I'll also take any questions. I'm just really energized right now. I've been out all day talking to voters. So this is a great way for me to continue to speak to people. And I'm kind of running on adrenaline right now, making sure that we continue to get our message out here until November 3rd.
Lorenzo, how were the lines today at early voting in Collin County?
We had long lines everywhere in the morning. Some of them started to slow down by the evening, but there was a steady line going into most of them. I think we're going to see record turnout here in Collin County. I think Collin County will continue to be one of the top 2 or 3 counties in our state for voter turnout. And people are just excited about the opportunity that we have to change the direction of our country, our state, by starting in our very own backyards this year. Is just a proposition that hasn't, ever, come up in recent decades, like I said. And we're really trying to make history here. It has been, forever since a Democrat has won here. I think LBJ might have been the last Democrat to win in Collin County. And people are ready for leaders that want to go and be of service, and people that are going to be held accountable to the people that they're, elected to represent.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
John? We can't hear you.
You can't? I am sorry.
Can you hear me a little bit better now?
We can hear you.
What, Rita?
Okay, I was just going to say that I was out today quite a bit and saw long lines as well. And when I last looked at the online indicator about the polling locations and how far behind they were, it was common to see them 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour behind. And this is like at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So there's a lot of enthusiasm out here. And also, I got word on the number of mail-in ballots that have been received by the elections office. We have 33,000 that have come in on Monday, since Monday and before. And the mail-in ballots were sent out only last week. So I have a ton that are still going to be coming in. So there's a lot of enthusiasm.
Isn't that crazy how quickly we have been able to move the ball in Collin County? And really, you can see our communities just ready for that change. And they want to elect leaders that they know that they can trust behind closed doors, that are going to be looking out for these kind of issues and really trying to work towards finding solutions to these type of issues, as opposed to making up issues to divide certain marginalized communities within our neighborhoods.
Yes.
Well, I know you do have a difficult race against Jeff Leach, but gosh, if you knock him off, boy, that's going to be a huge plus for Texas.
Yeah, and we're ahead on the polls right now. So we're trying to keep that momentum. We've been able to outraise our competitor this last quarter. You know, this is something that's coming, 300 donations in a quarter for my competitor compared to over 13,000 donations for our campaign. These are coming from small contributors across the state, across our district that are ready for that change, and they're giving whatever they can, be it $5, $10, or $100. Those kind of donations add up when you start talking about the power of 13,000 individuals that are locked in and really passionate about removing the incumbent or hopefully retiring him, so we won't see a Speaker of the House, Jeff Leach, next session.
God forbid. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lorenzo? We should let him go. I'm sure he's got a lot to do, but we really do appreciate you sharing. One thing I do want to share, though, before we go, Matt Johnson, our state political and political and media director just talked about what he's doing for you on Saturday. I believe on Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3, we are having a phone bank for you. So I think he'll be getting that information to you. You might want to jump on at the beginning and say hello to the volunteers, but they're going to be calling for a couple of hours on Saturday afternoon for you. And we've already given out the website of how people can sign up and volunteer on that. So hopefully you'll get a few folks from this call as well. But that's this coming Saturday.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the efforts of everybody, and that's what's making the difference. We're telling everybody, step one is get out there and cast your ballot. Step two is, we got to keep working till November 3rd at 7 p.m. So, write postcards, make phone calls, go poll greet, drop literature for any of these candidates that you feel passionate about. And that's how we're going to be successful come November 3rd.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Appreciate your time. All right, well, folks, we've now heard from 3 State House candidates, all of whom are hoping to pick up a seat and help flip the Texas House. So let's go back to the presentation. The TurnTexasGreen.org has been up long enough that I hope you've all memorized it. We certainly could use a few more small donations or even big ones if you could help us out. This is the last week of our fundraising. We obviously need to get the money to the candidates here before it's too late. And it's not too late to make a donation if you have not yet done so, but please do it soon. Okay, moving on. We have a very exciting candidate running for the Texas Railroad Commission. Her name is Krista Castaneda. She's from right here in Dallas. Most of you probably know that in Texas, we have a railroad commission that governs our oil and gas and energy regulation. Some of you may not know the history of that, though. I don't think any of us are old enough to remember when oil was discovered in Texas. That was in 1901 at Spindletop. And so at that particular time, the way that oil was transported, the only way, was through the railroads. And so when the oil was discovered, they had to figure out a way to regulate its extraction and transportation. So since we already had a railroad commission back in that turn of the 20th century, they said, well, we'll just give it to the Railroad Commission, since that's the transportation mode to move the oil throughout the state and throughout the country. So it never has really, changed. Even though the Railroad Commission, as far as regulating railroads, went away, we have federalized our railroads, so we have no state regulation of railroads now, but we kept the name. And so the oil and gas industry would just as soon not change the name because it, kind of slips under the cracks. People don't know what the Railroad Commission does unless they're an informed voter, but all of you are. And so Krista Castaneda is running for our Oil and Gas Commission, otherwise known as the Texas Railroad Commission. She has some unique experience, and in the past we haven't had Democratic challengers to these Republican railroad commissioners who were as qualified nor as knowledgeable as Krista. She is an oil and gas attorney. In fact, T-Bone Pickens was her client. She is very familiar with the industry, but she has a very environmentally friendly and a different approach than most. She really believes that flaring should be eliminated, and she's got some very progressive views toward the way in which we regulate oil and gas. She knows we obviously have an oil and gas industry. We have to protect the jobs, but we can do a much better job in regulating and being more environmentally friendly in the approach to that regulation. So Krista has our endorsement, and the exciting thing is that the National Club has found some donors who are going to be giving money into her campaign. She has been able to use that as leverage to get other donors to give to her campaign. And all of a sudden, Krista is competitive with her Republican opponent. So we might actually see a close race in this one. And if we're lucky, we might actually see a victory, possibly for the first statewide candidate for the Democratic Party to win in many years. So we'll just see how this all comes out, but Krista is definitely a strong candidate. Okay, now let's talk about these House races. This is really important and the main thing that we want to discuss, and this is why the turntexasgreen.org website was up so long, to let you know what we're trying to do. In many different ways, the federal or the National Sierra Club has helped in targeting some money into some of these close races where we have a chance to pick up a seat. And then our own fundraising effort to try to give some money to these candidates is ongoing as well. But these are the state representatives that we have endorsed. This is just a partial list. It's two slides long. The first is Ana Maria Ramos. She was elected in 2018 from Texas House District 102, which is sort of north central Dallas County, parts of Richardson and North Dallas. I think it gets Addison. But Ana Maria actually got the best grade of the freshmen who were elected in 2018. She is an attorney, a part-time government political science professor at El Centro, and she has represented that area of House District 102 very well. Representative Rafael Anchia has no serious opponent in Oak Cliff, but he's a rock star for us. His name has been mentioned as a possible speaker of the House of Representatives if the Democrats can take the House. Jessica Gonzalez from House District 104. This is another part of Oak Cliff, has done very well in her first term. Representative Terry Mesa from the Irving and Grand Prairie area, District 105, is an incumbent who is running again. Victoria Nayave, State Representative Nayave in District 107. That's sort of the northeastern part of Dallas, East Dallas, parts of a little bit of Garland and Mesquite, but mostly kind of old East Dallas over there. And then Joanna Katanak, who we heard from earlier, the Park Cities and Central North Dallas, from probably, I don't know, the tollway over to Central and south of LBJ, that part of the city. Joanna is running in House District 108, and we heard from her earlier. Carl Sherman is in District 109. That's DeSoto. Tony Rose, District 110, is down in South Dallas somewhere. Yvonne Davis, I think that's the Lancaster area. And then, of course, Brandy Chambers, who we heard from earlier, running in Richardson and Garland and Saxe. Retta Bowers, State Representative Retta Bowers, is sort of South Garland and Mesquite is her district. She did very well in this last election. John Turner, who many of you know, and many of you are probably in his district. John represents House District 114, which is also part of sort of near North Dallas. It also gets the Lake Highlands area and other parts of the city south of LBJ, going over to about where Victoria's district starts. And then Julie Johnson, who is the state rep from the area where Brookhaven College is, where we normally would meet. She represents Farmers Branch, Carrollton, and Coppell, and that general area is House District 115. So those are the House District candidates and incumbents that we're supporting in Dallas County. Now, let's talk about Denton and Collin County as well. Angela Brewer is running in the Denton area. That's House District 64. Representative Michelle Beckley is running for re-election. She won very narrowly last time in House District 65, which is the northern part of Carrollton, the Denton County part of Carrollton, and Louisville. Sharon Hirsch, another very strong candidate, just like Lorenzo. She did very well last time. She represents that far north Dallas area that's in Collin County and in parts of Plano. And then Lorenzo, we obviously heard from him. Plano, I guess the other part of Plano, and Allen. And Angie Batto in House District 70. That's the McKinney area, just a little bit north of Lorenzo and Sharon's districts. And then back to Denton County, Jennifer Skidonico in House District 106. That's the Colony, Sanger, Aubrey, and parts of rural Denton County. So hopefully you know what district you're in. If you're not, you can look on your voter registration card and get the number. But these are the people that we are supporting in the House races in these three counties, Dallas, Denton, and Collin. We have a whole nother list of people in Tarrant County, but I won't bore you with that. The Fort Worth group is working hard to try to get them elected. All right, on the county level, we have a commissioner who's running for re-election, Dr. Teresa Daniel. Many of you know her. She has spoken to the Sierra Club before, not too long before we stopped meeting in person. Teresa shared with us one evening and gave a portion of the program. So if you're in District 1, which is pretty much East Dallas, I guess, and Lakewood in that area, Teresa Daniel is your county commissioner. So be sure to remember her on election day. Okay, now what can we do? These are some of the things that are volunteer opportunities. As you heard earlier from Matt, phone banking is something that we're doing a lot of in the next 3 weeks. And one of those banks is on Saturday afternoon for Lorenzo. Letter writing, we still have an open letter writing program for Joanna Katanak, whom you heard from earlier. If you'd like to participate in that, there's an opportunity. As always, there are opportunities for early voting, poll volunteering. There are something like 60-something locations in Dallas County that are open for early voting, starting today through Friday, the 30th of October. All these candidates would love to have you stand there and give out their literature to voters who come up and vote. There are 2 weekends within the early voting period. The first super weekend is the 17th and 18th. The second one is the 24th and 25th. The governor extended early voting this year to allow for 3 full weeks. So we have GOTV, that stands for Get Out the Vote, efforts going on for each of those super weekends. This year, rather than knocking on doors and having people answer them, we're basically doing literature drops, or the short in the political world for that is called a lit drop, where you literally just go from door to door on a list of people that of houses that you're given, and you drop the literature inside the door or hanging on the doorknob or something. You don't have to wait for the person to answer. You just move quickly from house to house. There are plenty of opportunities like that if you're an outdoor person, you want to get out and get some exercise. The final weekend, of course, is Halloween and November 1st, which is right before the November 3rd election. Okay, John, somebody is waiting to get in. Election Day poll volunteering on November 3rd. There's going to be many opportunities on Election Day at some 300 or whatever many it is now voting locations that we have in Dallas County alone. Okay, so next is some of the things that we can do to fund the effort. By the way, let me do this. Yeah, has Sahan come on yet? I can't see if Sahan is available. Sahan, are you there? Can you unmute yourself if you're there? Sahan is one of the students who are participating from Capel High School who's been doing a lot. He asked to speak at 8 o'clock, and it's getting close to 8 o'clock. So
yes, I am here.
Sahan?
I am here.
You're here? Let me pause for just a moment and let you share a few things. I just introduced you as a student leader at Capel High School. I know you and your friends have been doing a lot to help our political effort. And I'd like to give you just a few minutes to kind of share what you all have been doing and what else you may be doing, and kind of why it's important for you to participate in this election.
A few things together real quick.
Can you turn up your volume or just get a little closer to the mic, because you can barely hear you? Are you there? John, can you bring him up?
I am looking for it.
I need to get things ready.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll say a few more things about Sahan while he's getting his stuff ready. I forgot exactly how he came to us, but I know he volunteered to do some work, and we were trying to figure out what we could do to have him participate. And I think there were some thoughts that went into it, and we realized that we had an election coming up. And, one of the things that were really important was to, have the opportunity to participate in the election. And so he and his friends certainly are interested in climate change. I met him at a coffee shop, and we had a great visit. And it turns out that he and his friends were very interested in perhaps doing some political work during the campaign. So have I stalled enough, Sahan, for you to tell us a little bit of what you'd like to share with us?
My microphone is having issues. I need to.
Okay, well, we can hear you now.
Let's, if I get close, which the mic is, it's.
Well, while you're figuring that out, several people have entered the waiting room. John, can you see them? I don't know if these are new people or people that got off and had to come back in.
David,
Okay.
John's muted.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Sahan, go ahead and talk to us.
Can you get rid of them, John?
I'm working on it.
Okay, I'm going to keep going because we have a few more things to talk about, and Sahan is not there apparently. Okay, so the Sierra Club Political Committee and the endorsements can be found at turntexasgreen.org. So be sure you check that out. And then where to vote on Election Day. You can go to dallascountyvotes.org if you're in Dallas County, and you can go to collincountytx.gov if you're in Collin County. Denton County folks can go to votedenton.com. So you might want to sort of write those websites down if you can and participate. If you don't know your precinct number, look for it on your voter certificate. Most of you have the little thing you got in the mail, which allows you to check all of your information. Your precinct number is there. You can also go to your county website. In this case, for Dallas County, it would be dallascountyvotes.org. And when you go to Dallas, and you can put in the right information to pull up your name and your address, and they'll tell you what your precinct number is. And once you find that out, then you can figure out who all your representatives are. It's on the back of your voter certificate. Okay, so the formula for success for the most important election of our lifetime is give, vote, and volunteer for a victory for the environment. Very important for you to get that done. Okay, so to review a little bit, again, the websites that are important are turntexasgreen.org. We've talked about that one. DallasCountyVotes.org will tell you all the information you want for the election. If you're in Denton County, it's votedenton.com. If you're in Collin County, it's collincountytx.gov. So if you have some questions, I'm happy to share them, but that's essentially our program.
So we've lost Sahan completely.
I think he's still here.
Well, he apparently is having some problems. So are there any other committee chairs or program leaders that want to make an announcement or give us some information? Liz, nothing, you got nothing on ICO?
For those that don't know, I'll just update you that basically no change as far as outings, which includes our group outings and ICO. That per national mandate, we are still suspended from basically doing outings, it looks like, until February. There are 10 outings that can be done nationally, just by written, but it's a whole process, and that's basically to get national permission for a certain type of day hike. So the reality that comes from all of this is, unfortunately, we will not be able to have any outings pretty much, till the end of the year, and probably into most of February. But we're working behind the scenes. We're continuing to look at the anticipated new leader training, and we'll keep everybody updated best we can. The best thing's to just go ahead and, if you're not already, sign up for the e-outings, which is just the monthly electronic newsletter. And that will get you the most information, the most current information as soon as possible. So please hang in there and just go for walking and let nature help you through all of this craziness.
Okay, I see we have Miss Marple with us this evening. Always good to have Miss Marple. David, have you completely lost Sahan?
Yeah, I'm looking here in the participant list, and I don't see him. So I don't know what happened. But
okay.
Anyway, he said a few words, I think, and he's been on other calls. We know him and his friends, and they've done a lot. In fact, I'm meeting him tomorrow or actually Thursday, to give him some more cards for his friends to write. So they're very enthusiastic. We have a lot to be thankful for our high school friends in Coppell.
David, did you get that email I sent you from the lady who called me and asked if the Sierra Club was calling and asking people who they're going to vote for? Was that one
No,
of the
but
kids?
we clearly don't do that. We actually
Okay.
share with them who we would like for them to vote for, but we certainly don't call and ask them.
Hmm.
And we've only done that in 2 districts, and that would be House District 108 for Joanna and House District 112 for Brandy. Now, the National Sierra Club is a whole bunch of volunteers from across the country who are calling into Texas. I can't say what those.
Okay, well, I don't know who it was, but she was a little surprised. He said he represented the Sierra Club and asked her who she was voting for in one particular race. So I sent you an email.
I'm not aware of that. That would not be according to protocol.
Okay.
Could be some volunteers that didn't read the memo, but that's not what we do.
Okay. If there's no other announcement that need to be made now, if there are, let's hear them right now before we adjourn the meeting.
This is John. I
Just want to say I apologize for all that came through. We just got swamped, and when they got in, it was hard finding them to get them removed. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Hey, one thing I'd like to say,
Just joking.
Dave,
Just
it's
joking.
so important.
This doesn't look very news.
It's because it's so important with the election. We are trying to raise a little more money in the next couple of days, and then we're going to cut it off. So if you are thinking of making a donation to turntexasgreen.org, please do so. That's the end of my telethon. Thank you.
Okay, well, turn Texas green. Come on, open up those wallets. I'm going to give money tonight, David.
Thank you.
All kinds of money. Okay, then.
Question?
We're going to adjourn this meeting now.
Can I ask a question first
Yeah.
before we go? How can I become an informed voter? When does the Dallas Morning News put out their list of supported candidates?
Well, you don't want to read that.
Okay.
Don't even look at that.
It came out today.
Okay.
The morning news has been doing it piecemeal. Or did someone say they had a summary of their endorsements today, perhaps?
They had them all in there today.
Okay. Well, that they've made some good endorsements, some are not. But I guess the most important way, I'll plug the League of Women Voters. They have a good program where they tell you the issues and what the candidates, how they stand. The other way from the environmental perspective is that if you're a up-to-date paid member, you should have gotten a card, 8.5 by 11 card from the Sierra Club with all of our endorsements listed. And that came to your mailbox. In fact, we've got another one coming next the end of the week. But the other way is to go to turntexasgreen.org and look at the endorsements page. You can find out, it's very easy to maneuver, and they'll sort of tell you what endorsements have been made in which areas.
Okay, thanks, David. Anybody else have a question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we close this meeting, any more questions? Any more questions? None? Hearing none, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. See you next time.
Appreciate it.